Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's me, Antonio, back with a damn mask. Can't go into anywhere without a mask, you know. I know y'all hate the diapers on the face. And really I don't really need to wear a mask when I go into the places that typically know me on the regular, so you know. But timing is everything. Ironically today, cops have to do their jobs. So there was some police, police officers every now and then like to chill out and hang out at Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's and pretty much every corner store across the hood. But yeah, it was funny. I just got out of the store, and to buy like a cigar or something like that, Black & Mild, and and the police were in the store behind the register, just chilling and maxing and relaxing. Like I said, they like to pull up in droves and just relax for whatever reason. So the store clerk, the Indian store clerk, was helping somebody else out with scratch offs and whatnot. So the cop is just standing there by the Black & Mild. So I'm like, hey man, let me get a Black & Mild. So he becomes the store clerk for about 30 seconds, and he didn't even know what the Black & Mild is. He doesn't know anything about rap at all. He's like pointing like, And I'm thinking in my head, is the police officer really become the store clerk? They're helpful sometimes, right? He gave me a Black & Mild. I slapped the money down on the counter. Exact change. Looked at the store clerk and was like, yo, you got a good helper right here. But yeah, it was actually a black cop. It was one of those mixed looking types. Can't tell if he's like a dark-skinned white dude or just like a light-skinned dark dude. Probably mixed or something like that. Could have been Spanish. But yeah, just a little interesting storytellings. So yeah, hopefully everybody's manifesting. Hopefully everybody's doing good today. You know me, I'm out. It's gonna be an interesting week. Yesterday I woke up early and did some tarot and shot some videos, and now I'm up early again. About to get ready to go in the house and do some more tarot. I'm already shooting a video now. Out on my morning walk though, soaking in some of that good energy. So there are a couple things that I did want to mention really quick in regards to walking your spiritual path or going through your spiritual awakening. Things you'll start to notice about yourself and the people around you. So me, I've pretty much been, so all my life I've had to deal with interesting and crazy situations and all types of interesting things. So if I knew as much about myself now as I did then I would be able to see these things for what they really are and be like, wow, car crashes, drinking acid, all types of surgeries, invasive surgeries and things like that. So what I kind of wanted to give you guys an idea is how do you know? How do you know when you're going through a spiritual expansion? Some young ones, the younglings. So how do you know when things are changing, when you're spiritually inclined? How do you know that you have a bigger purpose in life? What are the signs around you? What type of things do you start to see and hear and things like that? So for me, I had my whole life to go through these different things. I paid very close attention to the number 33. The closer I got to 33, I was like, wow, Jesus died at 33 and all these different things. And then when I turned 34, it was like, wow, like instantly I felt like I was picking up where Jesus left off, like immediately passed the baton. Or even like when they say, they try to come back to his grave and he wasn't even there anymore. Like he just got up and continued his journey and, continued to do the things that he was put on this planet to do. That's kind of how I felt. Like, along with everything else, let's see, I'd say probably about, so this is what happened. Toward the end of 2019, toward the end of 2019, I was chilling in the house with my BM, and we were getting things together. We had just moved into a new place, right? So we kind of like took a little bit started to take a little bit of time apart, due to family members and outside influences and just different things altogether. We decided to take a little break. Sometimes it's easier to manage a relationship when you just have some time apart. You have two different apartments, or just different things like that. But yeah, I started to notice like it was weird things, weird situations. People started to talk weird and act weird. So toward the 2019 is when I got the government contract to work for the 2020 census. We all know the census. They've been doing the census for over 200, almost 300 years now. They do it every 10 years. People are supposed to vote, and they're supposed to call into the census and get these simple questions and answers done. Me, I worked in a call center, sitting on the phone with people. It is frustrating for people to try to sit there for an hour and try to answer these questions to the census. So I know it's hard. People don't want to vote. People don't want to participate in the census, especially if you didn't pay attention in school. You don't know how to read, write, and do math, and just sit down and learn how to read a question and answer it. The FCAT, all these tests we have, that is one of the issues. White folks want to put their tests on black folks. What if black folks turned around and started testing white folks? It's different. The tests are different. You can't sit a cat, a dog, a fish, a mouse all in front of the same teacher and try to have that teacher teach all these people the exact same way. So that is a great misunderstanding that we've been practicing over the past 100 years or however long. Integration and schooling has been a thing. We've been teaching the kids the wrong things. But I'm digressing and I'm going off on a tangent, and this video is becoming a little bit long. So towards the end of 2019, my BM was like, your family's tripping. Let's get a couple different places. I'll be back in a little bit. The kids be all right. So on and so forth. And started making money. Somewhere between $20 and $30 an hour. Of course, that's gonna make them come back, right? I'm attracted to gold diggers. But that's just women. And yeah, like everyone was talking about this whole COVID thing. This video is not more or less, or this story is not about how much money I make or anything, or like my relationship or anything like that. It's more about that whole spiritual process and the spiritual awakening and the things that I'm still going through now. So, and then towards the end of January 2020, finally got the job, started working. I make it simple. I make it easy for people. Again, people have issues voting and doing the census and things like that. They don't have time for it. I was one of those people. In a building of 2,000 people, I was one of the only people that were able to turn hour-long phone calls, 30-minute phone calls, help people from the ages of 20 to 102 fill out their government census and help themselves get counted. They allocate businesses to your neighborhoods and to your areas, to your towns, based on the number of people that vote and participate in the census. They need to know how many people are in your house, on your block, or in your area. Whatever, the president, whatever. The politics, if they want to use your information for nefarious reasons, they're going to have to suffer that karma. But we can't forget that there's also good politicians out there that want to help and change things for the people. So participate when you feel like you are inclined to participate. I voted for one president my entire life. I am 34 years old and I've only participated in voting twice. They had us participate in a mock vote in school when I was in middle school. It was about 12 or 13, Bush and Gore. They had us do a mock vote. And when I finally moved out of my mom's house at 21, turning 22 years old, and we were all in a message of hope with Barack Obama, I voted for him, and he became the first black president. So that was the only time I didn't even re-vote for him again. The second time he did win the office, I didn't vote for Obama again because I saw politics and politics. Again, there's a certain time and place for everything. When I was a little boy and cops burst in my mom's house while I was playing video games with my friends in the room at 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, I didn't know what racism was back then. I didn't know what planting drugs in the black community was then. And then 10 years, not 10 years later, what was that, 8 years old? And then, what was that, 7 or 8? I don't know. 7, you already know I'm spiritually connected with the number 7. And then 8 years later, again, here we go. The same situation happening over again. And then 8 years later, here we go, the same situation happening again as I'm walking home from work in a freaking suit and tie. Police pulling me over about some domestic violence case I had no friggin' involvement with at all. And then again, 8 years later again, you know, being involved in a situation that had me spend a night in jail. It's like every 7 or 8 years, these karmic lessons or these karmic ties. And it's things that people have to pay attention to. Again, this story isn't something that's, not trying to make this a personal story, but you have to use your examples, and the best examples come from the tangibles, things that people are able to prove. You know, actual facts. Art dictates life, and life dictates art. And you know, my motto is that art and life is to be judged. There's the word judge for a reason. We have actual judges in real life for a reason. Some opinions that people have are often valid if they're able to prove their point. But yeah, started making very good money by the end of January 2020. My paychecks were like $2,000 every 2 weeks. Government jobs, you know, again, sitting in a call center around beautiful women all day, just typing, you know, again, making it less complicated for people to participate in the census. Spend 2 to 5 minutes on the phone with me and I got you. It don't matter if you got 20 people in your house or 10 people in your house. I know how to simplify stuff. People all across this country and indeed all across this world needed help, gave me advice. Every single one. Some of them got on the phone angry. By the time they got off the phone with me, they were so excited and ecstatic. People told me that I may be able to change the world today, young and old. People say, you know, it's my voice. You're so smooth. You should be a voice actor. They tried to get my number. They tried to get my email address. They tried to get my social medias. These people, and you know, the funny part is I speak to a lot of women. Women are the ones that spend time on the phone all day, paying bills and figuring out contracts and things like that. Men are out working. Oftentimes I would come across a male entrepreneur that's just at home, you know, the millennial type that's just sitting on his sipping on his coffee, probably a hippie or something. Like, you can hear it in their voice, like, bro, I don't have a care in the world. I'm just trying to take care of this. And he's so funny. But yeah, man, I speak to people 3 times my age, people that you would never think to speak to. Again, foreigners that can barely speak English, but I'm on the phone with them, helping them get themselves counted. You know, foreigners don't come here and try to go incognito. Foreigners know that they come here and they take advantage of the benefits that the government is trying to offer them. Their standards of education are different. Some people from different countries are smarter than Americans. You know, Nigerians, probably the smartest culture in the world. Again, the original man, all the knowledge is disseminated from the original man, from the original Pangea or plateau. So again, let's stop hiding the knowledge. Let's stop acting like there's a certain group of people that isn't more advanced physically, spiritually, and mentally than the other groups of people. And every group of people have their own pluses and their minuses, so that you shouldn't be looking at the next person. You shouldn't be looking at the next person with that envious eye when you know what your power is and your spiritual process is. But you know, by the time February came around, I had a decent change in my pocket. Wasn't really worrying about money too much at all. Driving around in fancy cars, eating whatever I wanted to eat, doing whatever I wanted to do. Not really living a fast life or a fancy life or anything like that. It's just, you know, You got to work to get money. And, you know, versus having a $9 an hour job at McDonald's, like most people in my situation or where I come from are put in, I've evolved past that to the point where I'm making almost $30 an hour again. And it's not even about how much an hour. At this point, cut me a check, cut me salary. And if you're not going to do that, I'm just going to start my own business, man. So, yeah, but February came around and I started, I think I went out to the mall or something like that. I was already into spiritualism and a little bit and all this, you know, all these other things. Geek and nerd culture rules the world at this point. You know, Star Trek, Star Wars, all these things. You know, again, I'm an 80s baby. So I've always been into nerd and geek culture and comics and all these different things that stimulate your mind and stimulate your spirit. So I've always been into things like that. Physicality, I took 2 weight training classes in high school. All of the people that know me in high school know that I was bigger then than I am now. I was 200 pounds in high school, pure muscle. By the time I had my liver transplant, I had lost 50 pounds in a month. So, you know, but I ended up going back to school, even though they told me I shouldn't go back to school. I shouldn't work. I shouldn't have kids. All these things they told me I wouldn't be able to do in life. But I ended up going back to school, a second-year senior, putting my weight back on, went back up to 195 pounds, and I ended up graduating and all that stuff. You know, a lot of short storytellings, but I'm trying to get to the climax of my spiritual awakening. So again, last year, you know, you're hearing about this whole Corona thing and all that, and when, you know, anyone that's spiritually inclined, when you start to hear about all these wars and all these different things that's going on in the world, you already know it's something else behind it. You know, my mind, again, didn't click. Going back to the story of, you know, an 8-year-old black boy doesn't know as much about racism as a 28-year-old black man. At some point, a switch just goes off in your head, and you start to notice and see different things. You level up at a certain point. Spirit tugs at you. So, yeah, last year, February, making all this money, and then March, and then, you know, you hear about the Corona, and they tell us we're going to be on a lockdown quarantine for 2 weeks. Mind you, now it's been over a year later, and we're still in quarantine, lockdown, and all these things. Masks have become a new commodity in the world, like toilet paper. You know, they just printed money out of nowhere, told you needed medicine and vaccines. You know, Big Pharma is the biggest moneymaker in the world, medicine and drugs. So, you know, if they want to try to stimulate the world economy, they're going to tell you need all these drugs and you're going to need these masks. People use paper towels every day, B. People use toilet paper every day, B. So they just literally printed money out of nowhere, a new commodity. All you would have had to do if you're smart is get out of your house and sell masks. Made $100 in 1 hour just selling masks for $5 a piece, $10 a piece. Imagine when it was hot. I mean, it's still hot now because you can't go into a place without a mask. I mean, Burger King and McDonald's can get sued even though they have a sign on their windows that say enter with a mask and no service without a mask. You're still not selling masks. What if someone goes into the store with a mask and it happens to break or something and they don't have a mask? You guys don't have masks in your storefront to sell people. People can say that you are you know, it's public endangerment. You know, people are asymptomatic. They carry the disease, but they themselves don't exhibit symptoms. So these are different ways that people can, I would say, extract money from the system. It's like going into a Walmart and slipping and falling on the puddle of water they got in there. But nah, we're not trying to go in there and catch Rona, right? But yeah, I was in a mall and I ended up passing by like a little crystal booth. It's a little, I don't know, the guy looked like he was in elementary school. It was like a little boy, little chubby little boy with dreads. His parents were nowhere around, so they trained him. And he spoke eloquently, almost like me. And he was running a business by himself. He showed me all the crystals, and I ended up purchasing crystals. I think I purchased the clear quartz and the citrine. Immediately started to feel the effects of, you know, the clear quartz and the clear quartz and the citrine. I mean, I had a job where I was making, upwards of $20 an hour, not even taking into account for overtime. We all know citrine boosts abundance and removes negative energy from your aura. And clear quartz is a powerful boosting intent crystal. So mixing those two energies together, I started raking in the dough. So then I got my lady into it. We would often make like a small outing or a date of going to just pick out crystals and things like that. She's getting into it. And she's still, tagging along far behind me. She, at some point, you can't doubt these things. So she's slowly starting to learn. It's so funny. She's getting into stocks and things like that. No matter how much we butt heads, it just be like that sometimes, bro. But yeah, man, that was February, March, April. Of course, the job is like, it's too many people in this government building. So half of the people in the building, literally, we're going to downstaff you for a month. Then you're going to come back to work in a month, and we're going to downstaff the other people that was working the whole month. So we kept doing that through the whole year. I would have to work for 2 weeks or not have to work for 2 weeks. Or I would have to work for a month or not have to work for a month. And this was the whole 2020. While getting paid at home, even if I didn't have to work for that 2 weeks or that month, I would still be getting paid at home. I was a grown man sitting around this government building watching all these people act like they didn't have a brain or didn't act like they had a heart. I felt like, wow, these are people that's supposed to be smart. These are our supervisors. These are our site managers. These are all people that's getting all these government contracts, and we work for the census and all these things, but no one knows what they're doing. Half the people in there didn't even know how to do their job. Half the people in there didn't know how to keep their self sanitized. So, I was like, whatever, I'm out of here. I have enough money, and I'm still eating off that money today. It is what it is. People can say what they want to say, but if you was a dope boy and you never filled out a job application, even if you've worked at McDonald's, you have the opportunity to get a tax your taxes back. You have the ability to file your taxes at a certain time of the year and get that check back, get that money back. So I'm not knocking. And so if you've never worked a job, you can't do that. But if you've worked a job, yes, you most certainly have access to that stimulus check or access to that your tax money because you've been paying taxes all year. So it's not trying to figure out somebody's pockets or trying to count somebody's money. At the end of the day, someone like me, I have a side business. I make money every day, however much it may be, whether it's stocks or whether I decide to sell a bag of mangoes or whether I feel like I just want to walk down the beach and just give out money to people. It doesn't matter. It's going to come. Money comes and goes. But, yeah, man. So that's all it is. People really need to check themselves. People really need to pay attention to themselves. Once we do that, we can work on helping each other. It's not a selfish thing. We're not getting into selfish debates and selfish arguments. The more we are able to better ourselves, the more we're able to better others. And people shouldn't be putting pressure on people that's trying to better themselves or trying to help themselves and say, hey, you're doing it the wrong way. I wish people did more walking instead of did more leading instead of following. But everyone can't be a leader. If everyone was a leader, there would be no one to follow us. But that's all I wanted to speak to you guys about today. I know I was all over the place. Hopefully, I actually enjoyed this video, ranting. I like getting into, roundtable debates and things like that. Like I said, it was a full moon a couple of nights ago, and I got a chance to hang out with my uncle and debate with him under the full moon for about 3 hours straight. And, I know he was surprised. He often called me the black sheep of the family. And things like that. He say I talk proper, but I'm a grown man now. He sees that, and I respect him as one of the elders in my family, my mom's baby brother. And we at it, fluctuating voice tempos and things and whatnot. And It's funny. The last time I spoke to my dad was telling me how much he respects me and how much better than him I am. Even though I think my dad is light years ahead of me, he feels like I'm light years ahead of him. That whole Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker thing. And then it was crazy. A couple of nights ago when I was speaking to my uncle, I kind of felt the same spirit from him. Like he was kind of telling me, he told me if you don't do shit, you can't, you'll never obtain shit. So, I always get gems from him. And he's like, hopefully I didn't make you angry. I'm proud of you too. You always got my number. I'm like, angry? We men, this is what men do. We debate, we argue, we go back and forth, not for the purpose of hating each other. We got our family here and we need to get rid of these generational curses. And, that's what I'm here to do. I don't need people thinking that I'm crazy or the family thinking that I'm crazy. That's one of the things that happens when people come into their spirituality. Some people think Christians are weird. People that go to church every Sunday are weird. People that get up and dressed up in their Sunday best and go to church and go sit in a building and hear someone preach and pastorize to them. That's people. Some people look at that as something strange. So, it's a perception. I think I look strange growing my hair out. I like afros. I've had braids. I've never had dreads. I've always been, for the most part, for the most of the time of my life, been a clean cut, waves, brush cut. I have several brushes in my house right now. I can't wait to cut my hair off one day as an old man so I can get waves. But I understand growing your hair is a form of commitment. And, just different things. But how do you know you're going through a spiritual process or spiritual awakening, or you're a chosen one, or you're meant to do special things? So let me tell you something really quick when you're not walking the path. When you are not walking the path, it seems like everything you do is difficult. Everything is complicated. You're never in agreement with people. You can never catch a good break. Your relationships, they are... I don't want to say they're kind of like they're interesting relationships. They're specific relationships for whatever reason. You may have toxic relationships. We're only friends because we hang around each other and party a lot. We influence each other to do whatever. So that's how you know when you are not on the path. When you are not chosen, You have to choose to be on the path. And when you're not walking the path, you're always getting in trouble. You're always doing the wrong things. You're always getting sick. You can't think straight. You can't sleep right. There's just nothing seems right because you're not aligned in a position that you are supposed to be aligned with spiritually and energetically with this planet or with the universe. Everything just seems difficult and overcomplicated. It's like going against the current. Instead of flowing with the current, you're going against the current. Money losses, everything. You have to pay attention to these things. There's a certain reason everything happens. Now, how do you begin to take life into your own hands? Become Neo in the Matrix. Become the chosen one. You have to pay attention to everything around you. You have to strip yourself of negative influences, people, places, and things. The number one thing is to be accountable. If you can't be accountable for yourself, you're going to fail. You have to be accountable. People are always going to need leaders and presidents and all these different people to help lead them and help guide them and make choices for them because they don't trust themselves. You have to be able to trust yourself. Lead yourself and lead your people. But you'll start to notice different things. You'll start to notice different symbols and signs and different texts. When you start to take accountability for your finances, you'll start to see where your money goes or see even people around you, how they're spending your money and then how you're spending their money. And then they'll probably get upset. A man that's going through a spiritual awakening trying to tell his wife to stop spending money. You'll see relationships and different things start to morph around you. I'll get more into it, but I can't speak too much longer on this video. I didn't even think this video was going to turn into a 30-minute lecture, but I'm going to end it, and I'll definitely be bringing some more content back to you guys in a little bit, just to give you a little bit more education, a little bit more of an insider. But that's it. Love you guys. Have a good day. Stay peaceful.